Hi everybody, my name is Jeremy Siskind. I'm the author of Playing Solo Jazz Piano. I am the author of Solo Standards for Piano, and I'm the author of course, the Jazz Piano Fundamentals series. And today's video I'm kind of pumped about. We are going to be talking about glissandos, right? Glissando is, I believe it's actually the Italian word for waterfall, where we use our hand to create a soundscape on the piano. And you might ask, why is this a worthy topic for a YouTube video by me? And the answer is that glissandos, especially I think in jazz, are really interesting. And I've been learning more about them in the past few years. To me, Benny Green is one person whose glissandos I really, really admire. He's always creating these kind of interesting effects with his glissandos. And I've been studying it a little bit. I'm by no means a master. But I wanted to share some things that I have learned. So let's dive in. My wife is going to think that I'm a crazy person hearing all the glissandos that I'm about to play in the next 10 minutes or so, but she already kind of thinks I'm a crazy person. All right, so first thing is, you're probably going to want to rush to the piano and try this, which is wonderful, but just be careful. Glissandos are hard to practice because you're constantly putting your skin up against the side of the next key, and so it's really easy to get a blister or a cut if you're over practicing glissandos. Now, the one way to really safeguard yourself is to use your nails. So I make sure I'm hearing that clack of my nail as I go up, and I'm using the nail of my thumb as I go down. Can you hear that nail clacking a little bit against each key? In almost any other part of piano playing, I would say that means you really need to cut your nails and you're a bad person. No, just kidding. But in this case, our nails are actually great protection. So I don't want you to hurt yourself, even though you might be excited to try some of these little glissando tricks. Okay. Number two is that when we do glissandos, the concept is that we're imitating a big band that's doing falls, right? A great piece for a glissando is a Night Train. Right? Because we can imitate the falls of a big band. So if you're not sure where or when to use glissandos, definitely think about checking out big band records. Now, one thing that we want to be cautious about, and I didn't write this down, but I thought about it while I was saying this, is that we don't, in most cases, want to use glissandos like we're in a show choir. Right? And this is why it's so important that we're imitating a big band. We're using it for this effect. We're not using it to just be like, hey, isn't my solo great? It's very kind of more stylistically specific than that. And I would tell some students that you get one, just noise glissando a year. But here we want to use it for specific effects that are going to be similar to a big band. Third thing, maybe this is obvious, but it's something that I have not started to do recently until I was checking out Benny Green. We can go up as well as down. So most people are familiar with going down with a glissando, but it's kind of cool to make this upwards effect. And you might say that doesn't sound true to a big band that's going to do a fall, but sometimes big bands do a cool upward scoop too. So I think it's a very interesting effect, and I think it's very cool. I like to alternate often. If I'm doing a big shout chorus, I might do one fall and then one ascension. Kind of interesting, right? So you can go up as well as down. Number 4 is that you can use, that's what that word says. It looks like it says Q, but it says use, trust me. The black keys as well as the white keys. And the black key glissando is cool because it forms the F-sharp pentatonic scale, which actually fits with a bunch of chords, right? If we're doing an F-sharp sus, A flat minor, if we're doing E major 7 sharp 11, C dominant 7. You can hear Stevie Wonder using that black key glissando quite a bit. It has a very different effect. It's much more peaceful. For me, it's actually kind of more waterfall-esque, more waterfall-like than the white key glissando. So think about using black keys, white keys. You could do both at once, which is going to be really dissonant and closed sounding. But that black key glissando, it can actually have a harmonic function, which is kind of interesting. Number 5, you've already observed me doing this if you've watched closely, but use both hands and try different intervals. So, for years, my glissando was always, which is cool, but if you want to get like more thickness, you can use both hands. And I believe that I've heard Benny Green, it happens fast that I can't be sure, and others staying in roughly an octave apart. But you can experiment. You don't have to be an octave apart. You could be 2 octaves apart. Get you a different effect, or you could be a 5th apart. Right? It's going to be hard to stay super precise. At least for me, I can kind of track about where I am. So, it's not that you're going to hear every single 5th or every single octave, but these different distances give you a different effect, which I think is actually pretty interesting. So, definitely, try using both hands. And this is like pretty technically hard, but like you can actually take a chord or an interval and do a glissando with one hand. There's an incredible video on YouTube of Christian Zimmermann, the great classical pianist, demonstrating octave glissandi. And imagine, right, you could combine that with something in the other hand. I'm going to tear up my finger pretty soon. Number 6 is create a destination. Right, so usually usually a glissando, this is an effect, and we're done. But glissandos also can lead somewhere. Organists are great at this, right? Organists are always they're always kind of glissandoing one way or another and making it sound like it's an effect that leads to their chord or their destination. My preference is to have a bass note. And sometimes it'll be a glissando down to a bass note and then back up. So it might be... So if I'm demonstrating with Night Train... climactic for how I would actually play it, but just as a demonstration, we might go down and then also back up. Now, number 7 is, really, again, we're thinking about being a big band, about an orchestra. Glissandos are a really useful effect to just create a lot of noise, right? If you're wanting to create a lot of noise at the piano, it's hard to do that much better than a glissando. So if you're, you're in that like big part where everybody's really leading to the climax of the song, you can try things like multiple waves. And notice I'm using a different technique there. Again, it's just to minimize skin exposure. I'm just taking really the flat of my hand and dragging it across. I feel like I'm on like an escalator or something, with one hand going near the other. Then the other, element that's really worth discussing here is pedal, right? It's pretty cool to do a glissando without any pedal. want to make a lot of noise, glissando plus pedal is a really good. Right, that is a really good combination. And I could, I could use my pedal there, but I really prefer to take it off because to me it really overshadows the chord and the melody that are happening. So those are 7 things that I think are really useful to know about. We're going to be careful not to expose too much skin if we're practicing glissando. We're particularly going to use the nails or that flat part of your finger. Secondly, we want to use glissando to imitate a big band. We don't want to be show choir folks. We're not necessarily going to be like rock and rollers and just be doing glissandos willy-nilly. Usually it's going to be to simulate a fall or a scoop or building to a climax. Being the drum set in this case. Number 3, we can definitely go upwards and downwards, and I think it's really fun to go up. That's usually what's missing. Number 4, you can use the black keys, which forms the F sharp pentatonic scale, and that can really fit with some different harmonies. And then number 5, use both hands and try separating them by different intervals, and I also demonstrated taking just one hand but using an interval. I can't do this. Hypothetically, a good pianist could move that chord down as well. 6, create a destination. Have a low bass note that you're aiming for, or have a high chord. 7, try making multiple waves or just make noise and vary whether you're using pedal or not using pedal. All right, y'all. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. It was a very rapid-fire discussion of glissandi, to use the correct Italian plural. If that's a good level for you, you might enjoy something like Jazz Piano Fundamentals Book 2 or playing solo jazz piano. If you have watched this far, thank you for watching all the way to the end. You made it. Why don't you use the secret word waterfall in the comments to let me know that you made it all the way to the end. Have a good one, everybody.